Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here. It is Coffee with Larry, your favorite daily podcast. I'm in Chicago today. We brought Fiona and her mom and her Grammy down to Chicago to bum around a little bit. Had some pretty awesome ramen. To Jeff Shaver, it was not as good as Tokyo, but I got to tell you, I had kimchi and fried chicken ramen, and it had some kick. So I'm Larry. This is not the Laren Hall. This is a Hampton Inn over by the University of Chicago. This is their coffee. Mm-mm. And in the immortal words of the one, the only Joe Piani, I say, hey, campers. So we had our first Diamond League meet this weekend, and that was spectacular. Great performances. Let's see, Faith Kipyegon, great, pretty awesome 5,000. Jessica Schilder from the Netherlands had been talking about needing an outdoor PB because she had a big PB indoors. She had the best throw in 15, 18 years since our friend Valerie Adams, 21.09 meters. Boom! Pretty awesome, right? Jamal Britt beat Cordell Tinch. That's going to keep the hurdle wars really exciting. Let's see what else we had in there too. Sharika Jackson looked pretty impressive. Let's see. Let's see who else we had in there. We just had some. It was one event after another. The men's 3,000, I think, had 13 men under 730. Amazing. And the German national record, that's Mohammed. Let's see, Ablami. He won the 10 at Sound Running, that incredible 10,000 in March. This guy is on fire. But they started the season this year in China. The first one's in Shanghai. The second one is in Xiamen. That's next weekend. Mondo Duplantis, new meet record, 6:12. And he looked pretty darn good. And there was and then Mattia Furlani, 8:43 in the long jump, baby. He broke the Italian national record. I think he's 22 years old, right? And so pretty young and a very strong competition. Here's my beef on the Diamond League. In the U.S., the only way you can see it is on FlowTrack or if you use a VPN and you cheat, right? Most people are using a VPN and avoiding FlowTrack and paying because there's so much prejudice against FlowTrack. It's not that FlowTrack does anything bad. It's that FlowTrack, oh my gosh, charges for things? You mean they're trying to run a business and make a living? And I think they're giving a good service because Peacock did shit when they had the Diamond League on. There was no promotion at all. And the numbers from Peacock were embarrassing. When I talked to Petra, the president of the Diamond League, he shared with me that the numbers on all the meets in the last year that Peacock did the Diamond League series were less than the audience for Norway. Norway is about 5 million people. The U.S. is 310 million. That's embarrassing. Why? What management at NBC allowed that kind of shit to happen, right? All I think they care about is, well, we got the rights to the Olympics, so screw them. Because why do it right, And my suggestion, my humble suggestion is this, and the guys at FlowTrack are actually doing a lot of it. They're putting out clips almost immediately. A lot of times on FlowTrack broadcasts, you can watch part of it for free, and then you've got to pay for the rest. They're trying everything except advertising to the communities that should be watching it, because the old crusty people aren't going to do it. They're not going to spend the money. They're too cheap. People who've been on the internet for 20 years, they want everything for free. The kids will pay for things. And that 14 to 22-year-old age group, they should really consider, but they really don't, and I see that a lot. That's why I am really excited we're talking with our friends at European Athletics about promoting their streaming video, all their live streaming meets from Europe in North America. We'll put that on RunBlogRun, our 9 partner sites, and our 17 social sites. So we're kind of excited about that. And the we just had the Belfast Classic, which you can watch on replay. We've got that up on RunBlogRun offline. I got one of my biggest beefs, and I've got to sign up a little later today for Xfinity. For $10 a month, you can get Wi-Fi wherever you're at in the U.S., and it's much better than AT&T's crap and what these hotels do, because they're infuriating. You want to really piss me off? Give me bad Wi-Fi, which is the challenge in a lot of the major meets. That's why a lot of times I bring a router or a virtual router, because I just don't know what's going to happen. And so the Diamond League's been around since 2010. The meet directors, the managers got together, and they went to then IAAF president Lamine Diak and just said, "Here's your choice, man. We're going to do this. So you can be part of it and pull your head out, or you can not be part of it." And Diak knew that it was probably in his best interest. His son probably couldn't find a way to make money from it, unfortunately, because he made money from everything else, as he's having his chicken soup down in Senegal right now, free from extradition from the French. The guy is, Papa Diak is one evil SOB. And I'm tired of people saying, well, the whole organization is kind of blah, 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 blah. The truth is, this guy took millions, stole millions from people, and got away with it. And the president of Senegal protected him, because Papa Diak gave a couple $1,000,000 to the president of Senegal. The money came from Mr. Putin, and there was a deal made. That's just apparently how they do it. It's sad, but that's part of the world right now. Let me just put, this is Coffee with Larry, and it's episode 889. Wow, can you believe that? When I started Coffee with Larry, I really didn't know how it was going to go. I was already doing a podcast, Socialing the Distance, and I was doing some short podcast conversations with Larry, and of course, yes, I have to have my name and everything, right? And Mike Deering, the gentleman who produces a lot of this, said, "Well, Larry, all your podcasts are conversations with Larry." So I Mike is special. But about that, he was pretty damn right, I love the Diamond League, and I try to watch each one of the meets, and I'll get the global view of YouTube, and then I also have a subscription to FlowTrack, and I will be watching it there. And I'll share with you this week some pithy comments. I'm happy the season has started. I'm happy the Diamond League is soaring, and it's not just doing well, it's soaring. Great performances. It's exciting track and field television. There's some, Mondo Duplantis was wonderful in the meet. Katie Moon vaulted as well, the Olympic champion. And the women's shot has to be seen to be believed. The strength and the quality and the speed in the women's shot is spectacular. Shawnee Miller-Weibo had a very nice 200 behind Shrika Jackson. Pretty impressive, a good Masai Russell, 12:25 in the 100 hurdles. And just amazing, right? And Devon Charlton, who was second in the hurdles, broke her national record. And it just, the quality of the hurdlers, the quality of the throwers, Faith Kipyegon, 14:25 is fast, kids. And the thing is, all these athletes running fast, jumping farther, we get complacent. Well, should all the performances be like that? No, it's a lot of hard work to get there. It's 12 to 15 years of hard work to be that type of athlete. These are the best athletes in the world, the best athletes in track and field in 209 countries. Think about that, right? And that my frustration is we need a global sponsor, and someone who, could drop 500 million and go, yeah, that's a few months of advertising, but it's worth it, right? Um, and what I'm curious about too, I heard rumors that Saudi Arabia was going to get involved in the Diamond League, and I'm curious to see how that goes. And I know there's a lot of political ramifications of that as well. But right now, with the instability in the Gulf states, it's just not going to happen. I'm very curious to see if the Doha Diamond League, one of my favorite meets. I mean, I went to that meet for years. I loved going into it. It was the way I opened the outdoor season. I mean, internationally, normally I would open up with Peyton Jordan or the Stanford Invite. And then I would head to, then to Doha, and then we would start hitting meets far and wide, right? Adidas had a wonderful meet at the Dassler Stadium on campus in 2016, and that was a blast. I had done Doha, then I did the Adidas meet, then I did the Adidas Boston meet, and then this year there's no Adidas Atlanta meet, and I'm hoping and praying that the all-knowing Spencer Nell brings a meet back with Mark Wetmore back to Boston, because I think that would be awesome. It was well received. It was a spectacular meet. The athletes liked it, and I think that combination. But Adidas does a road event a little later in the month, and I would love to go to that sometime. And what my suggestion is one day they should have the track things, and the next day they should have the road. But I think Spencer will throw darts at me on that one. But Adidas has had an incredible month. I mean, they had Boston Marathon, where they're the official sponsor, and they just owned that. And that was really interesting because you had athletes from Under Armour, Sharon Lokedi, and you had athletes from ASICS, John Career, winning, and great stories, both in themselves. You had strong American performances, Zuhair Talbi and Jesse McLean, and I was really fascinated at the trajectory of how Brooks athletes are going. You have Jesse McLean and you have Clayton Young. Clayton was a new arrival at Brooks, and you have Jesse running 2:20:29, the fastest time by an American woman ever on Boston, and then a 2:05, was it a 2:05:41 by Clayton Young, the third or fourth fastest by an American on there. So Brooks is really picking some athletes up. And then I did an exercise this week. I wrote to my friends at Brooks, to On, to Nike, to Adidas, to Puma, to New Balance, and several of them responded. Our friends at Nike responded. Our friends at Brooks responded. Our friends at On responded. Did I get anything from New Balance? I don't think I got anything from New Balance. Nothing from Puma, which is pretty normal. Puma doesn't seem to like to respond in North America, and I don't know what their problem is. They've got some decent shoes. The problem is, when you don't communicate with people, people don't do it. And the brands are so obsessed with influencers right now. Pretty much the idea seems to be, well, let's put it up. My feed right now is full of ads from On, from everybody else, and it's from the companies, are their retailers, and I'm not sure that's really the way to do it, but I think it's the easiest way and it's the cheapest way, and most of these brands have no clue about advertising anymore. It's funny because when Phil Knight got involved with, I think it was before Wyden and Kennedy. I think it was Chiat Day. Um, he told the ad team that he didn't really like advertising. And the thing was, Nike and their collaboration with Wyden and Kennedy created some of the most iconic advertising ever. If I think about the best ads in running, there is no finish line, right? From Nike, but also Impossible is Nothing from Adidas. The brilliant ad campaign, and one of my favorites was with Todd Williams changing after a run. That whole series was amazing, but the brands just don't advertise anymore, and in North America, Adidas is more about football and fashion than it really is about running. It's pretty hard to get access to the running product over here in a local running store. And that's been the story. One of the reasons why Brooks has done so well is because they've kept a consistent relationship with what I was saying was one of the reasons why Brooks has done so well is they've kept a consistent quality relationship with nicely done with their brick and mortar stores, and they work very, very hard to do that. And that attention to detail, that support of the uh, um, retailer is what helps them. The other brands that do that well, Saucony does it well with their retail group. Asics is really, really good with it. And Asics was, quite frankly, the very best for a long, long time. But the Japanese management, when they fired the American management, 10, 12 years ago, and they just went off the face of the earth, it took them a while to come back. But Asics has got killer product. They're doing some great events, and they're really communicating with the marketplace. And you've got to do all those. Is the Gary Slayton and Tom Harchey are two of my faves in the sport of running, especially in running product and in running marketing. And both said to me that Tom said, you've got to have consistently great product. And Gary said that with all the great product out there, if you miss a turn, you're a blip. You're going to get your butt kicked, And I think that I would add several corollaries. One, you have to have great product. Two, you have to listen to the consumer. Three, you have to listen to the retailer. And four, it's if you want to advertise and you want to reach runners, you got to do it 24/7. Tie in with local running sites, tie in with the grassroots sites. The key influencers, the people you call key influencers, have nothing to do with real runners. These hipsters, they don't have credibility with real runners. Some of the people that are doing podcasts right now, the Running Effect, brilliant. The Coffee Pod folks, the guys who I know them all individually. I've never met them, and I really want to do a podcast with them and pick their brains because I think what they're doing is great. Gordy Beamish and Ollie Hoare and Mr. Morgan, who I misidentified as a Aussie pole vaulter one time, and I still have to apologize to him for. I think I really pissed him off in Budapest when I did that. But it was, a night of sleep deprivation. So I apologize, Mr. Morgan. And someone we haven't talked about, Mick Burns at the University of Wisconsin. Mick Burns is retiring this season. I met Mick back in 2009, I believe, in Berlin. What was the deal? Were we waiting for baggage or something like that? And he was just a nice guy. And his athletes love him. And he is an example of one of those wonderful coaches dropped down from heaven and who changed these young men's lives and young women's lives. And Mick, I hope you do something fun after coaching. But you have just the legacy you've done at University of Wisconsin. And I'm going to try to, I will request an interview from the sports department because I want to pick his brain. I think Mick should be part of the art of coaching, don't you think? Let's see what else we got going on today too. So I'll be heading back to lovely Wisconsin, and I'll be in the Laren Hall tomorrow. Um, I have driven to Chicago O'Hare on, let's see, Saturday morning, Milwaukee Mitchell Airport on Sunday morning, and then back to Chicago last night. But we did have a spectacular ramen across from the Hampton Inn, um, by the Miracle Mile on Huron Avenue. And I got to tell you, it was really good. And I'll put the name of the place that we went to and all that stuff for you on my notes today. But again, Shanghai, I've got a lot of things to write about Shanghai, 2 stories coming up. I've got probably 15 interviews. I sent questions virtually. Some of them were answered. And then there was there were some generic questions, but I think you can learn from them. And I'm going to put stories up about those. And then we've got the Zeman meet coming up on the 23rd. We've got the LA Track Fest, sponsored by Skechers, WebMD, and USATF. And I've been asked by some of my dear readers if I was going to be at the LA Track Fest. I was hoping to, but we had talked to the folks at Skechers and USATF about helping promote the meet, because our friends at Sound Running have enough going on, putting it together a spectacular meet. And for whatever reason, and USATF's always done this, so this is nothing that I didn't expect. The amount of promotion is minuscule, and at the very least, they don't know who to promote it to, and it's sad, but that's life in the big city, and it happens a lot in North America. The funny thing is, part of the reason why there's crowds at meets in Europe is because they actually promote them, and there's tradition, and that's a big part of it. Tradition's a key. Building up a clientele, building up a base who believes in the sporting event. In the UK, they were able to get sports fans, not just track fans. That was one of the things that John Ridgen would tell me about, and Ian Stewart and the whole crew, was that it wasn't all track fans, and that's what we failed to do in the U.S. I mean, it's a shit show. Now, my other beef is with the Diamond League and with World Athletics. There should be a free version, maybe a shortened version of the entire meet. Now, they do highlights, which I think are spectacular. And thank you, FlowTrack, for doing that. Thank you, Diamond League. And thank you, World Athletics. But we've got to help get those need to be out a little bit more, because you need to build the base. More clips are watched. And I know people who just watch the clips, don't even watch the meet. And I just think that's sad. But it's right now it's about money. With gas in the U.S. averaging almost $5 a gallon, thank God for President 47. Yeah, that wasn't sardonic, Mr. Shaver. That was sarcastic. Shout out to Jeff Shaver, because we were talking about Jeff Fishback, a San Jose State star from the 1960s, who was on San Jose State's team when they won the cross country. When I believe the cross country for NCAA was 4 miles. Because Lee Evans told me a story. The late Lee Evans told me a story about running the NCAA cross country and how he hated Coach Winter for doing that to him. He loved Coach Winter, but Coach Winter pissed him off. 400-meter guys who have to run 4-mile races, and we did it. Joe Mangan and I did it at Foothill College. Shout out to Joe Mangan. Joe was my spiritual leader coach at Foothill from 1990 to 1996, and I still learn from the Zen master himself. I do call Joe the Zen master of track and field, because it is some of the lessons that he taught us he learned from some of the greats, Sam Bell, Hank Kettles, and he shared that with his junior staff like myself, and just learned so much. So I've got to call an end to Coffee with Larry today, because they're going to come and kick us out of the hotel. I didn't get my, extended extra hour for being a Hilton lifer. But special thanks to our friends at Brooks, a sponsor since 1990. Check out brooksrunning.com. Special thanks to Furnished Quarters, who got me to New York. If you're staying somewhere for more than 30 days around the world, furnishedquarters.com. They should be able to help you out. There's going to be a Jim Thorpe streaming video series from Jim Thorpe LLC we'll be telling you more about that. Special thanks to our friends at Nike, NikeRunning.com. I've checked out the Structure Plus, really like it. Vomero Plus, and I've got my hands on the Pegasus 42. Um, the newest shoes, I forgot to say this. The couple of the new shoes I received from Brooks, the new Cascadia, wow! And I'm waiting on the Ghost 18. Can't wait to see that. And the Ghost Max 4, I think, is coming as well. And then our friends at UFOS, we're working on a couple things with them. There's a meet, the Martinez Classic, on June 7th that we're helping to promote. And then we're talking about a rest and recovery newsletter. So run, jump, and throw today. Tell someone you love them. Do a random act of kindness. Thank you again for watching Coffee with Larry, and we'll chat soon. Okay, we are.
Softer note back to him.